Hi, my name is Max and I'm a front-end developer at Specify Collections Consortium. Today I will talk about the recent accessibility improvements we made to Specify 7. In particular, I will cover the importance of accessibility and usability, showcase how we improved that in Specify 7.7, and give a preview of upcoming exciting features. So why is accessibility important? Accessibility is important because it enables web apps to work for persons with disabilities, but also it just provides a better experience for everyone, as you will see from the features we will talk about today. Making software accessible also helps with meeting international standards. For example, the most recent Specify 7 release is largely compliant with the main web accessibility standard. And we also added screen reader support. At the same time, Specify has put a great effort into improving software usability, which we define as software being a pleasure to use and adapting to users' needs. To that end, Specify 7 now listens to user preferences for date formats, interface theme, font size, and language. As an example, if I change the theme to dark in my operating system preferences, Specify 7 instantly reacts to that change. We also added a user preferences menu to Specify 7 where additional options can be configured. Among accessibility-related user preferences are options for fine-tuning interface colors. This way, besides simply enabling dark mode, you can change the background colors and change the accent color to increase the contrast. Same applies to form fields, as you can change the background color for regular fields, disabled fields, required fields, and fields with validation errors. You can also override default browser font size or scale the interface, and all the pages will adapt accordingly to display nicely. Similarly, some users may be interested in changing the default fonts. You can make Specify use any font that you have installed on your system, for example, a dyslexia font. You can even change the font size and font family used in forms independently of the font used in all other pages. Besides the general interface look and feel, many pages in Specify use dialog windows extensively, and that's why we added quite a few customization options for those. For example, you can make the page title update automatically to match the dialog title so that the screen reader announces what the dialog is about. There is an option to disable translucent dialog backgrounds to increase the contrast. Or you can go a step further and blur the content behind the dialog to make the dialog content have even higher contrast. Similarly, dialogs in the forms usually don't darken the background to allow editing several forms simultaneously, but you can change that behavior to improve accessibility. And there is an option to prevent dialog from closing automatically on escape key press or click outside the dialog bounds. This is useful if you find yourself accidentally closing the dialog. Among other interesting user preferences are the ability to change interface language. Though at present only 2 languages are supported. If anyone is interested in localizing the interface to more languages, we would be really excited to hear from you. And user preferences also offer an option to completely disable animations across all pages or reduce transparency. And to accommodate varying screen sizes, in the recent release, forms have been made more flexible, with column widths changing automatically. Still, you can disable that option to closely resemble the Specify 6 behavior. As you can see, a lot of these options are useful not just for people with disabilities, but also for any kind of user, as they allow to customize the experience of using Specify and to make the interface look and behave the way you like it. As part of our push for great accessibility, important usability improvements have been made too. Specify now leverages browser APIs and tools to provide many user interface components. This means that the browser is the one responsible for making sure interactive elements are compatible with screen readers, have excellent keyboard and touchscreen support, as well as look nice under the user's chosen theme, which provides a much better experience for the user while removing the responsibility for all of those things from the developers. Though if you, for example, want to disable the new date picker, you have an option to return to the previous design. Next, we wanted to make the interface look friendlier, so we redesigned all the pages with that in mind. For example, the colors are used generously throughout the interface to focus attention and add contrast. Buttons are larger, and that makes them easy to click at, and many components have rounded corners. But you have an option to disable rounded corners everywhere to make the clickable areas of buttons even larger. Also, all links that open in a new tab now have an indicator and are announced accordingly by the screen reader. At the same time, you have an option of alt clicking or option clicking on a Mac on that link to open it in the current tab instead, basically to suppress opening new tab. A fun example where that might be useful is a query builder, where clicking on a query result usually opens a new tab, but you can suppress that by alt-clicking on a link instead. Many of the improvements mentioned today are possible thanks to the modern styling library we're using called Tailwind CSS. It makes the interface adapt better to varying screen sizes, and in the future we could also improve mobile support, as data entry on the go could be useful. Here are examples of how Specify 7 looks like on a tablet device. Another side effect of using a styling library is the consistency it promotes throughout an interface. Besides making the app look more professional, reusing the same design helps users learn different components of the app quicker. Now let's talk about accessibility and usability improvements for individual features. You might remember that we added a schema configurator tool in Specify 7.7, which makes the Specify data model customizable to your institution's needs. The schema configurator also can be used to improve accessibility, as you can add usage notes for any field to add additional context for the person entering data. The usage notes are displayed on the form when you hover over a field label, and they're also picked up by the screen reader software. Similarly, schema config allows you to hide unused fields, which improves keyboard navigation in the query builder, as it is easier to find and select the right field when there are fewer fields visible in that list. Additionally, if you used Specify recently, you might have noticed the updated tree viewer, which alongside the refined design now has improved search capability and important accessibility improvements. For example, the search box shows a tree rank for each result, allowing you to find the right record easier. If you are a screen reader user, you will also notice that when you do a search, the screen reader will announce how many search results have been returned and which search result is currently selected. And Specify tries to reduce the need to scroll manually by automatically scrolling through the selected tree nodes when navigating the tree using a keyboard. Similarly, when you run the query, Specify scrolls down to the query results automatically, but you can disable this behavior if it conflicts with your accessibility software or if you find it annoying. Now, it's worth briefly mentioning the Specify Workbench, which is our bulk data import solution. You can just throw a spreadsheet of data on it, and it will automatically try to map your spreadsheet columns to the database fields, then validate the data, and make a record set of all the created records. Workbench accessibility is not yet at the level we like, but that is something we will improve. For now, you have ability to customize the behavior of some keyword shortcuts. In the future, though, we will enhance keyboard navigation and add ability to edit datasets using an external program like Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. After uploading the dataset, if you try to plot uploaded records on a map, you would also notice that GeoMap dialog supports several gestures like zoom, pinch, and outside click detection, but you have an option to disable all of them if that interferes with your accessibility software. Then there is a query builder. Exporting data from the Specify database is one of the most important use cases, and to that end, we designed a query builder to the highest quality standard. Recent Specify update made the query builder feature complete with nice additions like the mapping editor you see at the top of the screen. It allows you to quickly add fields to your query from a variety of tables. Query builder now also has full picklist support and ability to run an OR query. For example, these filters will return all collection objects whose catalog numbers are in this range or in this range. These features make building queries faster. You can also preview query results easier without leaving the query builder by pressing on this View in Forms button. Or you can create a record set from a subset of query results by selecting the records and then clicking on the Record Set button. We are also working on supporting spatial search, which would allow you to easily specify the area on the map and constrain the query results to only records from that area. And we will also be adding the ability to plot query results on a map. Keep an eye out for those features in the coming months. Besides the query builder, the most used component of Specify 7 is the data entry screen, and the new release brings several updates like the design validation system for quicker feedback and improved record search capabilities to match and exceed the features offered by Specify 6. The validation system is now fully compatible with the screen reader software, and it will give you context-aware error messages. For example, if a field has a minimal value length requirement, the error message will tell you how many more characters you need to enter to pass the validation. There are several more exciting features that you should keep a lookout for in the coming months. For example, we are looking into implementing a user interface for editing web links, field formatters, record formatters, record aggregators, and even form definitions. Specify form system has a lot of advanced features, but many people are unaware of them because editing forms is cumbersome. The user interface will make configuring those things way more accessible and approachable. In Specify 7.8, we'll be adding an easy way to temporarily enable a read-only mode across all Specify pages, which would be particularly useful when you want to demo your database without a fear of accidentally overwriting some data. We also added support for single sign-on and the permission system. It might not be obvious at first, but these things have implications for accessibility. For example, single sign-on can streamline the authentication process, which would be appreciated by all users. And the permission system allows you to hide pretty much any interface component, which in turn would make the interface simpler and reduce the cognitive complexity. For example, you can remove the ability to export query results or remove access to rarely used tables, which hides the corresponding buttons from the interface, making the toolbar look less cluttered. Similarly, the User Preferences page allows hiding individual top menu items so that you can configure the top menu to only show the things that you care about. But we are looking into adding even more customization options in the future, including the ability to display the menu as a sidebar or collapse it entirely to save on purchase screen state. This would be helpful as the menu occupies too much space at present, especially if you scale the interface. Keyboard navigation in Specify has improved greatly in recent releases. You can do almost everything in Specify without the need for a mouse. And we are now testing every release of Specify to make sure that important actions can be performed with the keyboard alone. Touchscreen support has also been improved, but it is not the primary focus at the moment. In the future, we're going to improve keyboard navigation even further by adding ability to set customizable keyboard shortcuts for any action. For example, imagine having a shortcut to go to the next record in the record set, or open the list of queries, or switch a collection, or even sign out of the current user. To summarize, this presentation covered the importance of accessibility and usability improvements. We covered a small subset of the user preferences options available in Specify 7, as well as gave you a glimpse into new and exciting features and updates that we will be launching in future Specify versions. If you have any feedback or suggestions for further improvements to accessibility and usability, please reach out to us. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.